Hey, this is Max. I am back with another CSR2 video. Today it's the Vorsteiner Cayman GT4 for use in Tempest 3. The GT4 Cayman, the biggest problem with this car is hitting those 0 to 60 challenges at each of the bracket levels. It really has no real problem hitting the speed traps because it's a high trapping car. And 0 to 100 can be difficult once you get into the force in the last challenge and maybe at the 540 pp level where it's the 4.953, but it really isn't that bad. One of the key things about this car is that if you don't have it upgraded enough, you're not going to make that final 0 to 60, which is actually pretty tough to hit. It's a 2.342 at maximum pp level. And I'm going to show you right now, I am only missing stage 6 nitrous and I have full fusion. And even then, it's kind of cutting it close to get that 0 to 60. You're going to want to launch perfect and then go right into a shift and let it right to 60 miles per hour. Now, that one may actually not have hit it because I didn't launch perfectly. The perfect launch helps, and the immediate shift in nitrous helps. So let's see what the game gave me. But it should be close if not. Okay, it did beat it, 2.282. And that is the toughest 0 to 60 you're going to face. At the same time, you'll be okay with the 0 to 100, which is a 4.456 that you would need to hit. You would have gotten a 3.8. The 160 mile per hour is easy because right now you have it tuned to 0 100 and 5.0 to do that 0 to 60. If you actually put it to where the actual high evo point is, you could be trapping at almost 200 miles per hour. So no problem beating the 160 mile speed trap. Nitrous, interestingly, is not as critical to this car as you may think. It is critical to get ultimately the best time you can out of the car, but to hit the 0 to 60 times, you don't really need stage 6 nitrous. What you do need, and it's very important for this car, is body. Stage 6 body is very important. Tire, very important. Here's why. Interestingly, stage 6 tire on this car at maxed setup, okay, drops when evo point drops when you drop it down, right? Watch. When you don't have a max setup, let's say you're going for your good old 475 initial starting PP point, you're going to be dropping all this stuff down. You're going to run it, the initial setup without nitrous. That's counterintuitive for most cars, but it makes sense with this car. I'll explain to you in a minute. So 475 allows you to have stage 4 intake, okay, and it gives you a decent, I'll tune that in a second, but watch what happens at this PP level if you don't have stage 6 tire. Boom, it goes up. So stage 6 tire has a bit of a glitch effect until you're close to maxed by actually reducing the PP point. And that's important because that extra reduction allows you to put more power parts in, giving you much stronger performance until you get to max settings. So here with this setting, with the car set up at a decent evo point, okay, here you don't need the grip yet. You can put the grip at 53 to get the highest evo point. Your car will already be doing that 0 to 60 and that 0 to 100 and that top speed easily. So nitrous is not needed for this. You can get through here without any nitrous. And the driving technique is actually not hard because without nitrous, you don't have to do a lot of the funky shifting. You just kind of drive it normal, it's fine. So you don't want to redline the car, but basically you can kind of let it spin a little and then just drive it normal. And it'll hit all its target numbers, it'll hit the top speed, and at 475 you get through the first few races without a problem and without having to waste any effort using nitrous. 2.9, 0 to 60, 5.7, 10.4, no problem whatsoever. I mean, it's not dyno, but pretty close. Okay, so easy to drive, easy to use, 475 pp point right through the first 10 races. Then you can bump it up to 498. Now you can bump in a little nitrous if you want, and another stage of intake if you want. And that puts you right at 498. And 498 will do well at the 0 to 60 as well. Because as long as you have that body stage in, your 0 to 60, 0 to 100, and trap speeds are more than fine to make it through basically the first 40 races. So you can set it right at this point and actually hit all the target numbers all the way through basically the first 40 race. So that's pretty impressive. Near the end, of course, this needs to improve in order to be the boss. So you're going to want upgrades, but you don't need to upgrade for at least 30 some races. Just run it right through with this setup. So that's the Vorsteiner. So the key points are that the body in this car makes all the difference in the 0 to 60. If you don't have body installed, and then you make up for it with other parts like nitrous. Or maybe not nitrous. We can try a little bit of turbo. That's not going to take two of those. That's going to bump it over. So you're going to be playing with numbers to try to make this work. And that's probably going to end up making you do something like what I'm doing now, which is putting in parts that are not optimal for the setup. With these kind of combination, you can still do the numbers. I mean, you still get a decent performance, okay? But notice that is a bit slower than what you would otherwise get with the body installed. So body actually drops the 0 to 60 performance a lot with this car. So it's critical to keep that in. Nitrous, again, doesn't make a whole lot of difference for 0 to 60 because really it doesn't get used until almost third gear. And by that point, it's really irrelevant for the purpose of 0 to 100 and 0 to 60. So you could leave nitrous parts off, focus on body, and even leave other parts kind of out of it until later when you're just using it to meet the PP points. Trans, I would put to stage 6 if you have it up front. It does help a little bit, and every little bit makes a difference when it comes to that 0 to 60 performance. So here you have 2.08 when you get to like the 500 and above PP points. And again, this will get you through all the way past 540 pp right to the max settings. So this car, yes, it is not hard to use for Tempest 3. It's actually a good car, but it needs to be almost close to max to hit the final target number for 0 to 60. It will struggle if you don't have stage 6 tires because you're losing out on a bunch of upgrades to meet PP points. And it will also struggle if you don't have body because it will not have the great 0 to 60 acceleration that you would need. The same kind of applies to this car. Same deal, almost similar tune, similar effect as the Vorsteiner version of the car. So I would definitely focus on making sure you have stage 6 body, tire, trans, and then engine, turbo, intake. You don't want to be missing a lot of stage 6s on this car and trying to take on the final challenge. You just can't get through it so easily. Unlike, say, with the RS5 or with the LBM4, those seems to do 0 to 60 so easily that you don't need to be as upgraded. So if you have a Vorsteiner, it's not a bad car. It will get through Tier 3, Tempest 3, but it won't be the easiest to do. If you have some different experience with this car and you want to comment, feel free to do so. Certainly feel free to ask me questions about specifics if your car's set up a little differently. I can tell you up front, you cannot tune around the lack of parts. Got to have the parts if you want to run the times. And finally, subscribe to the channel because when I put up new videos, you will be able to get notification. And as always, thank you for watching.